offer any condolences to her at that meeting. He only offered them to the reporter of the Ogemaw Herald after the fact. Nothing. There was no remorse. Nothing.
If you saw the smirk on his face,
He was
yeah.
He was
His
an
tone was
arrogant.
rather argumentative.
Yes, he was very arrogant.
this is typical
totally
Mike
arrogant.
Egan attitude. Mike is an arrogant person, very arrogant, and he doesn't think that anybody can touch him. And so to recall him, he's not worried.
I hope that he's smart enough to step down before we have to go through the entire process.
No.
But I don't think he is.
No way.
He won't do
No
it.
We
way.
need to be prepared to.
Do you have your
I think that everybody that's there Monday night, if you say nothing else through that whole meeting, just stand up and very politely ask him to resign and move on.
Monday night, do not get argumentative. Do not have them say, I'm sorry you can't say that. Do not use anything but a calm voice, because that's going to bother them. You may raise your voice, which I often do when I get excited. But you want to be very, as John said, polite. You say Mr. Egan or Mr. Money or Mr. Hughes. And I think I told somebody who really actually gets their email and looks at it. I can tell you 3 that don't. And not because they can't, it's just, it's not, they're not, how do you put it, they're not real computer savvy. That would be Richard Nelson, okay? Richard Nelson doesn't, I mean, Richard's a nice guy. I like Richard. You've got the other one who doesn't is, oh shoot, Ron Hughes. Ron is a supporter, trust me, of this group. I can't say that aloud, but I've got to believe, because I believe his weight. So, I mean, you've got that. The other one who doesn't always would be Pat Beasley. And Pat's a sweetheart. I mean, she's a nice lady. And
Positions on the board.
pardon?
What are those 3 people's positions on the board?
Just trustees. Your board president is, like I said, the former teacher, EA president. Secretary of Treasury is the former EA president, which is Mike Egan. Batchelder's only a trustee. You've got Williams is the vice president. You know, I'm going to tell you something about Scott. When I still have some hard feelings about some of the things that happened to me last year, and I've actually voiced them with the board. Scott's the only one that replies. And I'll say that publicly. He is the only one that will respond.
I got responses from Money and Plano.
Yeah, you may get a response. You'll get a response from Dan, from Jack.
Money.
Yeah, it depends on how Jack feels. I've gotten some half-baked, and I say it nicely, responses from him. Like, aren't you really retiring this year? You know? Because I forced a couple issues that shouldn't have happened. And I forced them. And I didn't get anywhere. And I got tired, gave up. So don't get tired, don't give up. Sam?
Can I make a recommendation for anybody that wants to speak? I've had to face a few of these. When you're so filled with passion because of the violation, it's so easy to let your passion get into anger. And if you'll write what you're going to say, write it down first, then get someone in the family to read it out loud back to you while you're sitting at the table after you wrote it down, you're going to be able to take out the words that you really want to say but are not going to be good to say. And you're going to be able to stand there that night, even if you have to read it off of paper, calm, cool, and collected to produce the result that you really want. And it's a simple process because everybody here cares. And you care enough to show up that means you care enough to speak up. And if you care enough to speak up, let's speak with some wisdom, and then you can really make a bigger impact. And it's real simple, just write it out. Even if you gotta get an old school teacher to help you write it out.
Was that emphasis on old?
No, former school teacher.
I'm actually gonna go back and change your kid's grade. Better yet, I'm gonna go back and change your grade.
There you go.
Oh, no.
Folks, what you want to do is throw out some ideas tonight. You know, I've given you some ammunition. I don't want to talk all night because I get hoarse anymore. I'm not used to talking. But you've got a lot of good ideas that are coming out. Make sure that you stick pretty much to the fact or facts, because you heard me tonight, in my opinion, good word, opinion. I believe, okay, I think, what I'd like you to say is, we believe, we understand, we know, we think. Because there you're talking about not just you're talking about the group. And if you keep it in that, they can't really cut you.
In the normal process of a board meeting, if they do it according to the way they normally do it, everybody should have probably 2 chances to speak. And that would be at the beginning of the meeting and then at the end of the meeting. In between,
Even at a special meeting like you're having now?
any meeting, they have their normal format that they go through. This is a special meeting because they're trying to handle something, but they have their normal format that they use. I've never not been able to speak at least twice at every board meeting I've been at that I've chose to, sometimes even more than that.
And-
So, but the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and that's what you want to remember. With the facts, you want to be talking, you want them, the more times they hear it, the more it'll become entrenched in their mind.
Read it. You know, not that I'm good at public speaking, but I've done it for a long time. I don't mind speaking in front of thousands of people, it doesn't bother me. So, read it, great, because you're gonna get your point across in a calm, cool, collected manner. And what Sam said, don't just read it to yourself, give it to somebody to read to you. Very good technique, because you're gonna find out when it's read to you, you may, oh, that doesn't sound good at all. Maybe I better change this. Do not attack. That's going to be hard for you. Try not to get into that attack mode, because they'll shut you down.
And rightfully so, you don't want to have it.
No. If you've got,
It's going to be tense enough without creating more tension.
you're going to have a person, hopefully, or several people that bring their camcorders. Make sure you have an extra battery and a lot of space. And because where you want to focus, you want one camera on the people speaking as best you can. You want the other camera honed on who we are talking to. Because you want to capture those facial expressions, like his smirk, like, the hell with you, I don't really care what you say.
You can't trust me.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what you want. You want those cameras, because that's your record. That is something they won't like. And I say they, I would not hammer on Dan Quina. He did the right thing. Okay? Of the other board members, I think you're gonna center on probably the board president, and Mike Egan. I don't see that anybody else, with maybe one exception, which might be Mr. Batchelder, but I don't know what happened there, so I guess I wouldn't even bring that up, because we want to focus on these folks over here. We want to focus on them and what's happened. We want to focus on how we want to make the change in this district and how we are going to do it. So you got a plan. I know Pam has some ideas, and I know some of you else, you want to have a plan when you walk through that door. You want to talk to the people that come in. You want people greeting those people. You want to sit in a block, not helter-skelter all over the way. You want to show that power in numbers.
Can we all stand up when our spokesperson stands up? Just
Yeah,
quietly?
you could. You know, that's another
Probably an
thought.
applause would do the
Everybody
same
just
thing.
put their cameras up and say, go. I'm not even playing.
They, you know, they're not gonna, they're gonna, if I were sitting at that table on Monday night, I'd be searching everybody that walked through that door. I mean, I'm serious. You know, and that's, you know, don't bring tomatoes and cabbages and rotten apples, please. You know, because the only people that are gonna end up with that will be the custodians, and those are good people, and they work very hard for the money. They don't need to re-clean. But you do want to make sure that you make that impact. Have people set up at those entrance doors as they come in. You know, I worked the Democratic Convention. I wasn't afraid to walk up to somebody and say, who are you voting for? And this is why you should. This is why you should. And you want to know whether they're here. Say, are you here to support Jim Houses? If so, we'd like you to sit with the group. You're going to have some people that'll blow by you. But you're going to have some people that say, yeah, I'll do that. I believe in that. So, I mean, these are all tactical things that I've used for years. Yes?
What's the time and location for that meeting?
It is in the auditorium, which is at the back of the building.
Yeah.
And so people will enter through the front of the building. You may have some people sneak in the back door. One of the former board members who's now dead was notorious for sneaking out the back door. And he, you know, and he was a good friend of mine. I mean, I don't chide him for that, but I mean, and there were a couple others that did the same thing. And, you know, folks, your teachers do not come to you and say, hey, we need more money. Realize that not just the teachers, but just the teachers in this district are giving back $1.4 million out of their salary back to this district. And folks, we are not even close to the highest paid in our area by far. 1.4 million. I'll tell you what, when you took $1,500 out of my salary, yeah, it's not going to amount to much in my retirement, but it's for the rest of my life too. So, you know, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, we're asking that everyone wear a blue shirt. That's also going to show a strong statement of our unity if we're all in blue. And if we all sit together, that will also, we're hoping that everyone can get as many people there as possible. Carpool if necessary for parking issues.
Yep.
I've read a couple comments on the Facebook page that some people want to come but they don't have a ride. If you happen to know somebody in that situation, could you please provide them a ride? I would hate somebody not to come just because they didn't have gas money or couldn't get there because they don't have a vehicle. Numbers. We need as many people there as possible. They're not going to listen to us if 25, 30 of us show up. We need like 200, 300, 400 people coming in. Wearing blue shirts. If everybody could get there by 6:30 at the latest so that we can start getting lined up. We'd like to have people lined up on the driveway with the signs that we're going to start making tonight. Line up going into the doors of the building so that as the board members are parking and getting out of their car, they're seeing us. And they have to walk through us to get to the auditorium.
It's called walking through a gauntlet. And
Yep.
they don't like that just from a negotiation standpoint. The steelworkers use that very effectively. I'd like to say the Teachers Association did it very effectively, but it was haphazard. You've got to be solid. And you may be asked to come back next month and the month after.
Would they have to come back?
Yeah.
I doubt if this is going to be resolved in
Right.
one meeting.
It would be nice if it was on Monday, but I don't think that it's going to be. I think this is gonna be something that we're gonna be fighting for a while. Please don't bring children to the meeting. When they are gonna go into closed session, and I've been advised that we need to stay. When they go into closed session, that we do
wanna
not
know
leave.
what they.
We
what their
stay until
decision
they
is.
come out of closed session. We could be there until 1 o'clock in the morning if that's necessary. So be prepared for that. Maybe bring a bottle of water, some snacks you can throw in a bag with you, so that when you're sitting there, you can, take your needs are met. But we want to be able to stay. As much of us as possible need to stay until they come out of that closed meeting, and then we ask them, what did you decide? They may or may not be able to tell us exactly, but they can give us some sort of an idea of what they were able to decide in that closed meeting. But if we leave and they know we left, they're not going to hammer that out as much as they need to.
What are they deciding in that meeting? What they're gonna be doing?
Their plan of action.
When they decide to go into closed session and they ask us to leave, someone should politely stand up and ask them to please go to another room. We all plan on staying.
That's what I'm told that they're going to do when they go into a closed session, that they will go into another room.
They have to.
Yeah.
They're not gonna clear that auditorium and put it out in the hallway. What you wanna realize is, they have to have a reason for going into closed session.
Excuse me.
And
Are they already
What
anticipating the
exactly are
reason?
you asking them
Huh.
to decide?
Pardon?
I showed up a little late. What exactly are you asking them to decide?
You're giving opinions.
Well, they're gonna go into closed session to decide something. What are you asking them to decide?
We're asking them to relieve the teachers of their positions. Very-
That's
From the
what I'm
board member, right?
Right.
And to get rid of vegans.
I think
asking. The only way you can get rid of Egan is through a recall petition.
Right.
Oh,
Or he can
We're asking here.
He can resign on his own.
but
But nobody cared when his stepson threatened to do a Columbine at the high school. Where were all you then? Where were all you people then? Did y'all even know that?
No,
Yes. His stepson, oh, by the way, his mother is a teacher, one of the teachers that wrote these letters. Yeah, he threatened to do a Columbine at the high school. What happened to him? He was suspended for 1 semester. He's back at high school.
and why?
Why is he?
No, you know why?
Yeah, because daddy's on the school board, Mama's a teacher.
No. No, he's a special needs child.
So?
he's dangerous.
So what? He's dangerous.
That's correct, but there are different rules. You know, like,
okay, let's get back onto the subject.
then you have to change state and federal law.
So we're gonna make those signs?
What protects the rest of the kids when he decides next time he gets upset and does go into that school?
Yeah, it
and shoot
sounds
up
like there's a
bunch
lot of
kids?
things that are being said.
Trying to get rid of his mom and dad.
Yeah,
So I'm just saying,
he's going to be upset when mama and daddy are on the hot seat, and he's going to do something.
but our point is here, is I understand where you're coming from. These people are focusing
For the clerk to release it.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just
Clerk's
asking.
gonna rule whether the language is
What
legal.
makes you think it's gonna be any
If that's
different now?
agreed that it's legal,
We're gonna
he
make
will
it
release it
different.
Yeah.
to someone,
Where
and
were you
I'll
last
be
year
there
when-
that
Well,
day.
His
At the clerk
obviously
office,
they
if he's
weren't
gonna
aware
release
of
it,
it.
put it on that room, then we can start
Channel
distributing.
5, Channel 12, it was
I'm
on.
gonna chair this committee. As many as I need. I want copies any day of the week. I need people to sign up. You wanna sign up?
All right, guys, I think we've got a lot to accomplish tonight, so I'm
No,
gonna start
they're
seeing
gonna
who
get
wants to be in
the
what
original from
committees.
Grant to
So
distribute.
we have
And
a
then I will
sign-making
distribute
committee
them
that
around the
Tara
county
is
to
going to be
whoever
in
is
charge
willing
of.
to
If you would like to be making signs, we have 2 days to make as many signs as we can for the board meeting. We have supplies over here and supplies over at the end of that table. If you want to be in that committee, if you could please get with Tara, if you could raise your hand. And she will sign you up for that, and she's going to talk to you about what we need to do to make the signs. The board meeting statement, if you're interested, we have Kathy Zimmerman, who is going to be helping us be our spokesperson. Yeah. We are limited, we are probably going to be limited to about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes to deliver a message. So we've got Kathy Zimmerman and another parent who have agreed to deliver a statement. The rest of you that want to speak, please prepare a statement in case there is time. And if there is time, you will be allowed to speak. Okay, so if you're interested in making sure, I'm going to be meeting with Kathy Zimmerman hopefully tomorrow night, Monday morning at the latest. If you want to make sure that some ideas that you want her to target, please come to my committee. Transfer request, Candy Cottle is going to be in charge of that committee. If you're interested in what has to happen in order to educate the parents who are going to have kids in these classrooms, a lot of parents still don't know what's happening. And so they may be having kids in these classrooms and they are not aware. They either don't have Facebook, aren't paying attention. Obviously, we just all found out about something that happened last year that none of us knew about. So this happens, even though it's a small community, things don't get brought to our attention. So Candy's gonna be, that group's gonna be problem solving, how to educate those parents, how to get to them, how to help them to understand what the process is going to be to request that their students be taken out of those classrooms. And then the last one is the recall petition. Julie Hart is going to be in charge of that if you're interested in helping her out with that. That committee is going to be in charge of getting those recall petitions for Mike Egan out there into the community, getting the required signatures. The number is 2,058 signatures that we need. We're going to try to get 2,200 because when you're doing a petition, you always want to go over the required amount just in case some signatures don't get counted for whatever reason. Okay?
Are you gonna have copies of those, like so some of us can go door to door and have them signed or anything like that?
As soon as the petitions are available, we will be distributing. Julie Hart will have them, and she will make sure that they get distributed.
I have a quick question on that before we do that. In order to prevent multiple signatures,
I'll have a database set up and I will enter one by one every signature. That will let us know if there's a duplicate.
cool. I know, but that's awesome. But like, if she gets a petition and I get a petition, she gets one, and we all go to the same neighborhood, and we don't. I mean, are you gonna like section it out per district?
I think most people are gonna say, hey, I already signed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I think most people will.
And that's why we're going over too. We want to shoot for 2,200 because if we do have a few that are duplicates, or we end up having someone sign that shouldn't have signed, we're covered. So.
What are the stipulations to sign the petition?
Clacking's gonna tell us all that.
Okay.
He'll tell us everything. Be a registered voter.
Pretty much you gotta be a registered voter in the area.
Yeah.
And the school district number, right?
School district, yeah.
Does that include Hale?
Everybody in Ogemaw County and those cities. Some of these petitions in business.
Does it also include Hale? I didn't get that answer.
No, they're not in Ogemaw County.
No? Okay. Well,
So anyone, and I'll be setting that over here, anyone who wants to
Prescott?
sign up to get a petition.
nope, okay.
To take to your town or your families or your work. Just all I need is a name and a contact number, and as soon as I get all the information from them, we'll start the process. We'll get it going. So I'll just be here with the notebook. If you want to
Get them in your store.
I have a question. Do they have to be, well, they have to be registered voter, but,
Okay, one more thing,
I forgot what I was gonna
we
ask.
have bumper stickers for
Oh, wow.
$2, and we have yard signs for $12.
Oh, if they're 18 or over, they can sign as long as they're a registered voter. And then if they're still in school, if they're 18 and registered voter.
They're gonna get all that language
I know
later.
someone-
We're not sure.
Okay.
Registered voter, definitely. And in Ogemaw County, definitely.
Yeah, I know, because I know some kids that are 18 that are registered voters that are still in the high school.
Good, get over early.
All right, so I cut this off now?
Yeah.
Okay.